Alright, so I figured I'd commentate over a Mythrax kill video here. We are going to do it as arms because I think this fight really does a lot better. Like, it's very much more suited for arms than for Fury, and I think you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice playing Fury. But I mean, yeah, you could do decently well with Fury too, but for now we're playing arms. So a lot about how to play arms in fights is knowing when to use cooldowns, and usually when you want to do that, if there's an ad spawn like very close to the pull of the boss, you want to save your shit for it. So here we drop down, we pre-pop, we save our Warbreaker and our Blaze Storm for the first ad that spawns so that we can cleave it. And we pretty much just straight charge over to it and use those two cooldowns. Then we pop Sweeping Strikes when Blaze Storm is over, and we use that until its duration. I got the debuff here, so, and I guess in this opportunity I chose to not run out with it just because I risked like the timings were a bit rough, so I just stood in there with it. It shouldn't be too big of a deal, but generally you want to jump out with that debuff. So basically this fight is very formulaic. There's not a lot of new mechanics as the fight goes on. It's pretty much the same two phases over and over again. So this first phase, it's basically you get the orb spawns where you want to be spread out from each other, and then you get the ad spawn and you want to kill that, and you want to dodge the beams from the ad and the boss. So you want there's a weak aura where you can see the green circle around me when the orb's about to spawn. That's a weak aura. I'll put the link to that in the description. It's very useful to know how, like, it's the orb is, or the circle's green when you're clear of everyone, and it's red when you need to separate yourself from your teammates in order to not get, because you don't ever really want two people in an orb, because there's a lot of raid damage that goes out when you pull people out. So a lot of times if you get more than two people in an orb, or like two people in an orb a couple of times, that could lead to a wipe. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, you just pretty much the cooldowns line up very well with the ad spawns. If you just wait until the first ad spawns when you pull, you'll pretty much have the cooldowns up for every single ad spawn, which is very useful. So it's pretty easy. You basically just save them for the ad and use them on that. And you want like very few melee in this fight. Unfortunately, like a lot of the bosses in Uldir is very melee unfriendly due to the spread mechanic. So we had the markers delegated to, we had 4 melees in this kill, I think. So I was always on the green marker, so after I'd kill the ad, I'd go back to green, and etc, etc. Always stay on green. So here's the intermission. I got broken on the orb there. So the first ad spawns, we put it here by blue, and then when we bait the beam to go on this ad, and then we instantly jump over to this rock. This is a strategy you see most guilds are using. So you want to stand still on this rock, which will for some reason make all the ads spawn right next to you, and you can just cleave them down. So again, you want to save your cooldowns for these ads. It's very important to cleave these down and get a lot of damage, and it's very, very nice. And then after those, you can Sweeping Strikes right after the Blaze Storm if you really want to, because it will kind of be up for the next ad spawn, but it's sort of like, I found it to be a bit, at least with our kill speed, it was a bit little delayed, and you didn't get much off, so I saved Sweeping Strikes for this ad spawn, because of this ad spawn you don't have Blaze Storm up. You will have Warbreaker up, but you won't have Blaze Storm. So here you can see the ad spawn. I try to get my Warbreaker up as quick as possible. I get that off, and I have Sweeping Strikes up, so I'm trying to get some executes off on these. Trait-wise, I am running 1 execution precision, and then just some DPS ones, obviously the raid trait, and I think like a battlefield focus or something, that doesn't matter. But yeah, ideally, you don't really want to run just 1 EP trait, because generally if you want to run it, you want to run 2, but I don't really have any better choice, so I just ran 1. But yeah, after the intermission, it goes back to the first phase, and it's pretty much exactly the same. You get the orbs, and you get the ad spawn. And yeah, here's an ad spawn. You can see you generally want to pick like a position you always go to when it comes to the ad, so that people get used to it. I always tended to try and stay here between the ad and the boss, which will let my Blaze Storm cleave, like Sweeping Strikes work, and eventually people just got used to that, and now that's sort of my spot, and people try to stay away from it. It sort of just happens naturally. You don't need to like you don't need to vocalize or anything like that. Really, that just tends to happen naturally. Otherwise, we go back to green and we do our single target rotation. You see, I used Warbreaker there when there wasn't any ad, because I know it's going to be back up for the next ad spawn. That's sort of, again, that's the sort of stuff you want to make sure you know. Timings, it's very important when it comes to DPSing. But yeah, otherwise, as I said, this is very formulaic boss. You just do your very, very best to learn the 2 phases, and then you're pretty much good, because it's just those over and over again. There really aren't any mechanical changes. But yeah, it can get me messy, because this boss can feel very random, because it's so much, like the fight is so much, lies on where the orbs spawn and sort of where the beams go. Like, your DPS can vary a lot, because sometimes you may just be fucked by the orbs and you can't cleave, etc, etc. So, you know, that's the big hurdle, I'd say, with this boss. Otherwise, it's pretty simple, as long as people don't, you know, mess up. So, yeah, other things you might want to consider, your shout. It's possible your raid might want you to use that at some point. We had me use the shout when the first ad spawned after the mission, before the casts, sort of help out with that. You know, you should probably check with your team to see if they want you to use your shout at any one point, because I think, you know, using it as a personal cooldown in this fight where there's so much raid damage, it's not really a good idea, I don't think. So it's better to use it when it benefits to many people as possible, as many people as possible. So here's the intermission again. Again, the ad spawns. We go to blue. We bait the beam. Exactly. You want to move as soon as you see this text on your screen that says obliteration beam, because that means the position is set and you're good to go. So again, you stand on the rock and you bait the ads. Here again, sometimes because the tanks are often, there's a tank over by the other ad. Sometimes you can get some small spawns over there because of that. But luckily we didn't this pull, and we had them all on the rock, so that was good. So yeah, we killed the ad, and obviously after every intermission, all the orbs and stuff clear, which is really nice. So after we're done with this, we are gonna have, you know, a nice clear area to work with again. So yeah. Here, unfortunately, the ad wasn't in range for me to use my skills while being on the rock, so I couldn't reset my Warbreaker as soon as I wanted to, which was a bit of a shame, but, you know, it worked out in the end. I still got the Warbreaker off. You really want to make sure you hit the Warbreaker on all of those small ads, because it's, you know, it's a lot of damage, and it'll help your output a lot. So we are, I believe, in execute range of the boss, which is always nice. That's one of my favorite parts about playing Arms expansion, is the execute phase. It does feel real good. So you can see me just execute. I think we're gonna kill the first ad here, and then we're skipping the next to just kill the boss. Yeah, you see we Bloodlust here. I make sure to pop my second potion during the Bloodlust, and I use my cooldowns, Sweeping Strikes. I chose here to Sweeping Strikes the boss to get those executes off, to spread the EP procs, which I thought was probably worth it. Definitely resulted in more like pure DPS, but I'm not sure if the ad damage... Like, honestly, we had Bloodlust pop there. It would have been fine either way. I think that was a good choice. So, yeah, we are in execute phase. I'm just doing my normal double execute, then trying to get a more track off with all the EP procs, and you should see a kill here pretty soon. Again, the mechanics haven't changed at all. You just stay spread and avoid the beams, and if you're killing ads, you should kill ads. So yeah, that's pretty much this fight. It's very straightforward. I really like it at playing as Arms. It's one of the many LDR fights that feel just tailored to the Arms setup, because there's always a bunch of ads spawning, you know, whenever you have cooldowns up. But hey, you know, here you see me I wasted my Bladestorm there, single target, because I didn't have any rage to execute, so I figured I might as well Bladestorm. But then I forgot that there's an ad spawn, so if I, in hindsight, I should probably save that Bladestorm and just, you know, waited for executes, and then here, when the ad spawned, I should have executed, or Bladestormed, to get some more damage off, but otherwise I think I did alright this fight. You can see me even getting a sick bonus rolled weapon, look at that. But yeah, that's this fight. Thanks for watching, and I'll probably make more of these, so stay tuned.